All right. We're going to start off with Donald Trump reacting to the Supreme Court decision on tariffs. Obviously, that's the biggest story of the day. S&P 500 jumps after Supreme Court knocks down Trump's emergency tariffs. Everyone is joyous. Everyone is celebrating. Stocks gained on Friday after Supreme Court ruled against President Donald Trump's tariffs, potentially providing relief for companies burdened by higher costs from the duties and easing concern about sticky inflation still plaguing the U.S. economy. Now, for me, I find that a little bit dangerous, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because technically tariffs are just additional taxes, and the Supreme Court striking down tariffs as unconstitutional, no matter which way it goes, is still frustrating to me. Like, I want to live in a world where if the president wants to increase taxes, the Supreme Court doesn't have the power to strike it down. So I'm in this unique predicament where I'm in this unique place, I feel like, where on the one hand, I think like Donald Trump wielding the tariffs in the way that he was idiotic and virtually indecipherable. But also at the same time, I don't want the Supreme Court to just like in a future, let's say in a future presidency, like I don't like that the Supreme Court can just be like, no, we are protecting capital and you're not going to be allowed to do that. Like, what if there were massive taxes on the ultra wealthy or on corporations or whatever, and the Supreme Court was like a Bernie style president or like a socialist president decided to do this and implemented it and did it in a similar way to Donald Trump, using like the executive office, greatly expanding on the powers of the executive office. And then the Supreme Court comes in and is like, no, you can't do that. I don't really like that, you know? But in this case, Donald Trump's tariffs regime has been inconsistent, idiotic. And it's understandable why the Supreme Court would strike it down. And it's also understandable why the government is, or not the government, but the markets are responding positively to it. Donald Trump basically said, the tariffs decision is an outrage that weakens our economy. Also, the decision to let me charge more tariffs than I did before, but also it's terrible and the justices who ruled against me are disloyal, but also they made me stronger. Given the tariff ruling, I'm not sure the Supreme Court would agree with the president's view of his ability to determine who is invited to the House chamber. Having said that, let's take a look.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh.
Yeah, the real guy who's going to make out like a fucking bandit here is Trump's Commerce Secretary. Or not Trump's Commerce Secretary, sorry. A subsidiary of Cantor Fitzgerald, which was run by the sons of the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, is letting clients essentially bet that the President Donald Trump's tariffs will be struck down in court. This has been an ongoing situation. So Howard Lutnick is, heads I win, tails you lose style situation here. And his family is going to make incredible amounts of money because they bought the rights for the tariff refunds, making a gamble that Donald Trump's like inconsistent tariffs regime was inevitably going to be struck down by SCOTUS. It's so fucking gross.
For their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices. When you read the dissenting opinions, there's no way that anyone can argue against them. There's no way. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you. The Democrats.
Okay. There's one guy dancing in the aftermath of this who also made out like a bandit after 9/11. His name is Howard Nutlick. Okay? Howard Nutlick was a 9/11 profiteer, and he is seemingly profiting from the international trade 9/11 that Donald Trump implemented as well. It is mind-boggling how much this guy, no matter what kind of catastrophe is taking place, he is always there at the scene of the crime making money. Remarkable.
Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no, no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. But you can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court, and it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular, when in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it.
Okay, did they make it dark on purpose in the fucking White House press room? Like, the vibes are abysmal, dude. The vibes are ominous. They're abysmal. It's like there's a state of mourning in the White House. He got that by-lighting. No, it's not even by visibility hour over here. It's like weirdly dark.
That they're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution.
Chinese factories are shut down because of the new year. U.S. companies want them to open up quickly to Russian product. Oh my God. Yeah, and then the fucking swell, the swelling of commerce that will come of this in the interim. Donald Trump will literally turn around and go, I did that. Ah! It's so fucking annoying. Just wait. Once there's this big fucking rush, he's going to turn around and be like, remember when I did that? It's like, bitch, you broke it. You broke it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. God, it's so fucking frustrating. Also, if you think that this will lower prices, I don't think it will, for the record. Because as we've seen over and over again, the major reason as to why prices are always high and stay high and don't actually respond to regular market conditions as they did in the past is because of tremendous corporate consolidation that allows companies to basically control these markets through price leadership. And therefore, I don't think that we will see it. Like, we didn't see it post-COVID. It's greedflation. I know people say that's like pop economics. You're not real. What's his face? Paul Krugman was a big anti-greedflation advocate for the longest time. And then he also succumbed to greedflation and corporate consolidation as being a primary driver of inflation in this country. Later, he's woke now. We won one. We got one of those guys on our side finally. Give it more time. Maybe he'll be these. Paul Krugman is a dumbass about that issue. It literally makes sense once you look into it. No, Paul Krugman is like one of these guys that I'm explaining was a big like anti-greedflation guy. He was like, oh, corporate consolidation is not the major driver of inflation. You're crazy. And then a couple years after, even with the monetary policy trying to make sense of it all, it turned into even with monetary policy trying to make sense of it all, it turned into this situation where it turned into the situation where like it was undeniable that there were other factors at play. Sorry. But now that the SCOTUS has deployed, now that the SCOTUS has cast aside Donald Trump's tariffs threats, maybe Mexico can pick up the slack again. Who knows?
It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it, but we still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security. And also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities, as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important.
He's so mad.
To be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything. I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court because I understand the court. I understand how they are very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broken 50,000 on the Dow, and simultaneously, and even more amazingly, broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year. They said, you'll never be able, you'll go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. They said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. We broke every record in the book, and we're continuing to do so. Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled. I settled 8 wars, whether you like it or not, including India, Pakistan, big ones, nuclear, could have been nuclear. Prime Minister of Pakistan said yesterday at the great meeting that we had, the Peace Board, he said yesterday that President Trump could have saved 35 million lives by getting us to stop fighting. They were getting ready to do some bad things. But they've given us great national security, these tariffs have. And together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country to poison our youth. All of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not. They all remain. We're still getting them, and we will after the decision. I guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those 3 people, such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives.
Yeah, they've done nothing, and I mean nothing, to actually use tariff authorities as a part of industrial policy to reshore critical industry and help rebuild manufacturing capacity. Instead, they've scrapped industry policy from the IRA and are using the chaos as leverage for personal favors and bribes. It is one of the most insane open instances of corruption that I have ever fucking seen in at least like the past 13 years of my political commentary career. It is like there's always been corruption. There's always been, backdoor dealings and people getting favorable deals if they're like close to the administration. This happened with the Obama administration. Happened with the Brandon administration as well as Trump, and far before that as well. But this is like open plunder, and it's not even like, I want to say this is Turkish levels of corruption with like the Erdogan government, but honestly, even in the Turkish government, like they don't do it this transparently, bro. It's crazy. It's literally like a full-blown Turkification of the economy, but it's also being done in the United States of America, and more flagrantly, like more honestly, more in a more vulgar manner. It's crazy. They're like basically saying we're butt fucking you, okay? Like your taxes are just directly supposed to feed money into me and my friends' pockets. They're just saying it out loud, and everyone's like, hell yeah, Mr. President, thank you for fucking, thank you for draining the swamp, I guess. I don't know. Amerika bizi kıskanıyor dedi ki inanmadınız. I don't know. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah, J.D. Vance also had a take. Today, the Supreme Court decided that Congress, despite giving the president the ability to regulate imports, didn't actually mean it. This is lawlessness from the court, plain and simple. And its only effect will be to make it harder for the president to protect American industries and supply chain resiliency. Is that what the American president was doing? Because I didn't see it. I certainly didn't see it. President Trump has a wide range of other tariff powers. He will use them to defend American workers and advance his administration's trade priorities. Yeah, basically, we're hell-bent on making you pay more for coffee, even though we don't and can't grow it domestically at scale. Like, there are certain goods, certain commodities that you just cannot have, right? You just can't. You can't do it. Like, coffee is one of them. It's just, we don't have the capacity with our current ecological limitations, with our current climate limitations. We just simply cannot have enough coffee in this fucking country. Okay? Like, we can't do it. So when you slam these tariffs on goods like that, you can't do anything. Like, you just have to pay the additional premium, the entry fee. And when, importers are doing that, they're basically slamming that cost back onto the consumer. So it's basically a regressive tax, an additional regressive tax. The tariffs they levied on all major coffee producers, such a perfect encapsulation of how this has nothing to do with protecting American workers. These chuckle fucks loved illegally using tariffs authority to extort businesses and author countries into giving bribes. We do like the USSR did and grow coffee. They grew citrus in gigantic greenhouses, expensive, but we could. Brother, coffee is one of the major problems that caused the literal fucking riots in the USSR. Like, coffee is a perfect example because it's just region locked. Okay? It's just fucking region locked. So the problem within the USSR, there were literal riots in fucking East Germany over coffee. Okay? It's one of the examples that I use all the time to talk about how like important treats are to keep people happy, to keep people satisfied. That's one of the major issues within the USSR's manufacturing. For sure, not saying it's a good idea. Exactly. It's one of the look, East German coffee crisis. Like it's quite literally one of the major incidents that I use with regular frequency to describe the importance of making sure that you have like light industry, or to make sure that you have your like international trade design work to provide some of these commodities, some of these goods to the population so they don't fucking lose their minds. It's not even like when I say something is a treat, I think like it feels like I'm undermining its importance and the role it plays in good governance. I'm not undermining it at all. I think it's a very important aspect of good governance to ensure that people have access to these commodities. it's not just like, oh, something you can live without. Why don't you just live without it? Socialism is an ascetic lifestyle that you need to live like a monk. You need to do away with these pleasures. It's like, no, these are things that make humans human. These are things that are an absolute fucking necessity. And as long as they are readily available, people will be less likely to fucking revolt. But yeah, America's doing the exact same thing for no reason whatsoever. They've done fuck all for using tariffs authorities as a part of an industrial policy to reshore critical industry. They haven't done that at all and help rebuild manufacturing capacity. Instead, they've scrapped industrial policy from the IRA and are using the chaos as leverage for personal favors and bribes. And that's precisely what they're doing. That is precisely what they're doing. They are they're open about it. They're not hiding it. They're not sheltering you from the truth. They're just saying it out loud. So it blows my fucking mind that more people aren't frustrated by this. Rand Paul, of course, being the libertarian that he is, decided in our defense of our republic, the Supreme Court struck down using emergency powers to enact taxes. This ruling will also prevent a future president such as AOC from using emergency powers to enact socialism. Now, that is part of the reason why I'm not super stoked. That's part of the reason why I'm not super stoked on the Supreme Court decision. Like, I get it. It's good to use it against Donald Trump, but it's something that you need to back pocket and remind yourself. If there is ever a moment where we win power, we can't let that happen, okay? Let's be real. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court because I understand the court. I understand how they are very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. I have very...
Well, you just have to do socialism democratically then? First of all, that's not how that works. Because the Supreme Court it has an undemocratic design. What are you talking about? This is a secondary concern for a fucking hypothetical future that may or may not ever happen. So I'm not going to stress too much on it. I'm just saying, what are some of the downsides? What are some of the potential downsides, okay?
These will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives. Great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so. To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge $1 to any country under IEPA. Not $1.
Not $1
I assume
under
to protect
IEPA.
other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries. Certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country.
Presidents have broad tariff authority outside of IEPA. He's just been using IEPA as the primary tool to just to engage in this tariffs policy, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, okay? Which gives the president broad authority to regulate commerce and freeze assets during declared national emergencies. That's the reason why they declared fentanyl as a crisis, as a national emergency, right? So there are still plenty of tools in the tool belt to deploy here, and the president will do that if his team is invested in continuing this tariffs warfare. And it seems like there are plenty of people who are invested in continuing along with that regime. Do not give him ideas, chatter. Come on, there are plenty of intelligent people, plenty of competent people in Trump's team that are obviously giving him a range of different options as far as tariffs. Okay. And as a socialist, you also should understand the power of trade protectionism. For the record, the issue with Donald Trump's tariffs agenda was that there was no real discernible reason for why he was enacting these broad tariffs. He was basically dunking on the international trade design that they had designed prior to this. it's not like I am not fundamentally opposed to tariffs as a defensive posture to reshore industry, critical industry, to improve the standing of the American labor class, to bring back companies, to force back economic activity to the United States of America, and to make sure that there are protections for labor in the process as well. That like all of these companies that are coming back and reshoring on U.S. borders are going to have unions. These are going to be union shops, union factories. They're going to be built with labor unions, union construction companies. Like those are things that a left American president, a socialist, sounds funny to even say, that's not going to happen, but a socialist American president could do in a hypothetical future that is still very far away. I'm not even saying AOC would do this. I'm just saying this is a tool in the tool belt, industrial policy, and utilizing defensive tariffs as a mechanism to bring about a new wave of American manufacturing. Okay? These are things that we could do. These are things that maybe we should do. Okay? So the IEEPA, International Emergency Economic Powers Act, allows the executive branch to respond to unusual and extraordinary foreign threats to the United States national security, foreign policy, or the economy. This is precisely the reason why Donald Trump was utilizing the fentanyl war, but like he wasn't even, his heart wasn't in it. Okay. Half the time he was like, I'm doing these tariffs because of fentanyl. And then the other times he would be like, I just don't like you. Like he would be like, what kind of fentanyl trafficking was taking place on, like, I don't know, some random fucking island nation? Like, oh yeah, Laos is a big, like, Laos is actually harming the American heartland with all the fentanyl that they're shipping from over there, Cambodia. Because then the other half of the argument was fixing trade deficits, which again is also stupid. How do you fix a trade deficit with Cambodia? How do you fix a trade deficit with Penguin Island? Like, who are you taxing? The penguins? What the fuck are you saying? None of this makes sense. So obviously, it was expansive. It was crazy. It was unilateral. It was directly breaking the previous global trade design that we had set, that we were benefiting from greatly, or at least like that created this insane force of finance capital in the United States of America. And Donald Trump is trying to like move those puzzle pieces around a little bit, but because he's a stupid little baby, he's moving the puzzle pieces around by just slamming puzzle pieces into places where it doesn't fit. Okay? That's the best way I can describe it. It's reductive, but there is a goal behind it. Make no mistake, to feel as though this is like rudderless or directionless or totally without any decipherable reason in a with like some sort of future vision is wrong. I just don't think that they are ever going to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, because it's still being done at the behest of capital and not at the behest of the proletariat, not at the behest of the working class. And therefore, there is no move that you can make that will be protective for the labor class in this country, the working class in this country. So all it ends up doing is move money around to some of your ordained dick riders that are your best. Billionaires. Here we fucking go, dude. All right, we're back. We're back. Of course. Of course. Big F. It's so fucking unbearable. Anyway. So if you think this is going to like ultimately change like a lot of the tariff rates in general, no, there are other statutes that give the president broad tariff authority. So in the interim, Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974 explicitly authorizes POTUS to apply tariffs up to 15% for 150 days broadly. So that's one of the things that they have in the tool belt. Section 122 doesn't require any studies / other pre-process, but caps tariff rates and duration. Like I said, you can only do it up to 15%, and you can only do it up to 150 days. So like Trump still has some tools to keep up tariffs, right? And then there's also Section 338 of the Trade Act of 1930, which allows tariffs up to 50% with no time limit. Section 338 explicitly authorizes tariffs, unlike the emergency, the EPA that we were talking about, which the Supreme Court struck down. And Section 388 is so open-ended, it may trigger its own court challenges if the White House uses it, but any such cases would take time. So expect broad tariffs to stay in place for some time. Here's the thing. Trump's broadest tariffs, the EPA tariffs in the Supreme Court ruling, not the targeted ones on steel, autos, etc., are often mistargeted and are on and off with ever-changing rates. Now we have the 2025 trade data and more showing results. To date, the results of Trump's trade policy are the opposite of his campaign promises. We've lost 88,000 American manufacturing jobs since Trump returned to office. The 2025 manufactured goods trade deficit is up $62 billion, 3.9% compared to 2024. This isn't an indictment of tariffs. They're a good policy tool if used strategically. It's about how Trump is doing it. He cut tariffs on China, a nation with mercantilist practices that fuel our trade deficit, but hit Brazil with 50% tariffs, even though we have a trade surplus with Brazil. And the reason why he did the Brazil thing was purely like that one was purely vindictive, because he was like, I don't want Lula, I don't want you to act out. I don't want you to have sovereignty. And I also don't want you to throw my friend in prison. It wasn't just Bolsonaro. Obviously, when Donald Trump is doing this like gangsterism, the reason why he's doing it is to reassert his dominance on nations that are potentially looking to alternatives like China to maintain their sovereignty and to leverage their relationship with America. So that's a big part of the reason why he's doing it, to be like, if you fucking do anything that I don't want you to do, I will punish you, right? Part of it is because Lula, and not just Lula, but like Brazil, a separate independent court, has found Lula guilty of fomenting and inciting a rebellion identical to January 6th, as a matter of fact. And now Bolsonaro is supposed to go to prison for like 27 years. And Donald Trump doesn't want that. Donald Trump hates that because he loves Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro is his guy. So he wants to punish for that reason as well. But if you're wondering why Lula, for example, has not said anything or hasn't done too much to save save Cuba, for example, this is part of the reason. Because they are fearful of Donald Trump's vindictive tariffs agenda. And there are so many other ways in which the American government could dominate countries. Basically, all the tools that we have at our disposal that we refuse to utilize on Israel, a country perhaps most worthy of tariffs and sanctions and decoupling, we are using on all these other countries. Like, there are an endless amount of opportunities for Donald Trump to basically destroy every other country's economy. Okay? Donald Trump could do this to every country on the planet, even outside of tariffs. You have the Treasury Department, right? Sanctions are another tool. So, even before we get to direct warfare, boots on the ground warfare, striking boats off the coastline and shit like that, there are so many other tools in the American tool belt to dominate every other country in the periphery, right? So, yeah, despite mainly balanced trade with the U.S., Canada got hit over perceived insults, but Trump's Commerce Secretary offered to cut steel tariffs, U.S. manufacturers and union support if the EU drops big tech regulations. That's not trade strategy. It's tariffs equals leverage for corporate favors. The deeper loss, and that's another reason why all these like tech billionaires actually dick ride Donald Trump into oblivion, because Donald Trump will literally go and say, we're going to hit the EU hard if you actually implement any sort of sovereignty over our tech companies in our tech companies that are operating on European soil. And Europe doesn't even have any alternatives anyway. This is something that Yanis Varoufakis has talked about quite a bit as well, and his approach to tech feudalism, neo-feudalism in the tech sphere. So there's that as well. America understands that American capital works alongside American imperial dominance, because American imperial dominance is done at the behest of American capital, or international capital, if you want to call it that, because the ruling class nowadays is not so is not so stuck with the American nation. They don't really give a shit. They can move around, and they do. So the deeper loss with today's Supreme Court ruling, EPA allows no tariffs. Trump's abuse of EPA has now foreclosed a tool used strategically and judiciously. Could have been genuinely useful for future presidents pursuing smart trade policy. So that's it. The Supreme Court took away one tool from the tool belt. This doesn't mean that they took away all the tools. There's still plenty of fucking tools that he can use and will continue to use. Okay? Lori Wallach has an update. As I predicted in my thread a few hours ago, in response to Supreme Court ruling, this AM Trump's EPA tariffs, POTUS just announced he will issue 10% tariffs on all imports using Section 122 of the 1974 Trade Act. So that already happened. And there are other opportunities that dominate other countries as well, right? This is the United States of America. If we want to fucking bully a country, we have a million different ways of doing so. Okay, if we want to cripple a country's economy, we have less vulgar methods, less overt methods to do so. Trump is just using the vulgar methods because he likes it. He likes playing fast and loose. He likes showcasing his dominance. He likes putting people in their place, right? He likes to do that. He likes to hit the place button with other nations in the periphery. Like, oh, you want to do BRICS? You know? Oh, you want to prosecute a previous leader of the country that decided to foment rebellion? Place. Yeah. So that's what it is. But let's continue.
In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do.
Oh, yeah. There is this other side of the story, too, though. Trump's Section 122 tariffs will expire in late August. It's going to be fun to see Republicans in Congress being asked to vote to extend tariffs that voters hate 2 months before Election Day. Yeah. So he's doing 10% global tariffs under Section 122. We're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices. And yeah, so when the deadline kicks in, because we remember I told you like you can do 10%, you can do up to 150 days. When that time comes, it'll be right up in the ass cheeks of the midterms. So good luck. Good luck to Republicans in Congress to extend this like largely unfavorable trade agenda. And while I personally understand the necessity for trade protectionism, even for a country, you said up to 15%. I believe he can do it up to 15%. Maybe he's doing it 10% because he likes the number. Again, there is not like, there is a grand design here. There is a conclusion that they want to arrive at, but they're not going to arrive at it. And also, the way Donald Trump operates is like, he could just be like, I like 10 as a better number. Okay? I like 10 as a better number than 15. Or maybe he's thinking, I can bring it up to 15% later down the line, so that if someone annoys me, I can say 15% for you instead of 10. I just added another 5%. So that's part of it. It's because, like, remember, we're talking about a guy who literally was like, I'm giving the American military $1,776. I'm making ICE agents train for 47 days. Like, he's behaving like a fucking numerology geek, okay? Like, some of the stuff he does is symbolic. The actions are real. The impact is real. But the methods of arriving at these, the methods or the guiding principle behind why he's choosing certain things over maxing out on like what he could do with the tariffs could very easily be for, numerology purposes, just because he felt like it,
Anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money.
Oh, as far as like who's getting a big payday out of this, I'm going to talk about it. His name is Howard Nutlick. You can see his shoulder right here. You can't see he's grinning. You can feel him grinning in the corner. You can't really see his face, but he's grinning ear to ear because he's making out like a fucking bandit. His children are making out like a fucking bandit today.
So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee.
Epstein's
I could give them
neighbor, Howard Butlick.
2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything. Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them. I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter because we have very powerful alternatives that have been approved by this decision. They've been approved by the decision for those that thought they had us. And they're saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. So think of that. I have the right to license, which is a very powerful word. In many ways, license is more powerful than tariffs. In fact, I was thinking about using it. But they came up with the idea that I can license, just like the people that were opposing me told them to do, but not the right to charge a license fee. Think of that. Who ever heard of such a thing? What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? You get a license, you charge a fee. It's automatic, but not with this court. But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries, but a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now, and it was a dead country 1.5 years ago under an incompetent president. But now I'm going to go in a different direction. Probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%, but now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh, whose stock has gone so up, you have to see, I'm so proud of him, wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. So, think of that. The decision might not substantially constrain. And it doesn't, he's right. In fact, I can charge much more than I was charging. So I'm going to just start. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That's because numerous other federal statutes, which is so true, authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Even more tariffs, actually. Those statutes include, think of that, those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232. All of these things I know so well. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, 201, 301. And the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338, all clear. But it's a little bit longer process. I thought I'd make things simple, but they didn't let us do that. I would like to thank Justice Kavanaugh for frankly, his genius and his great ability. Very proud of that appointment. In actuality, while I am sure that they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and more crystal clear rather than less. I don't think they meant that. I'm sure they didn't. It's terrible. And to think...
Yeah, Pritzker is also calling, this is great, not only is it, not only hangs it around the admin's neck, but grates on the fake promise the admin made to send out dividend checks. Pritzker demands a $1,700 refund per family for the people of Illinois after Trump's tariffs were ruled unconstitutional. I like that Democrats play ball like this, like they play hardball like this. Is a good move, okay? Because obviously it's not going to happen, but the point is it reminds the people in Illinois who actually is responsible for the cost of living crisis or who accelerated it. Oh, God, sorry. Holy shit, that burp just came out of my mouth out of nowhere. That was an uncontrolled burp. Yeah, it's good midterm messaging as well. It's good in general. Shout out to the big boy, JB Pritzker. Don't you think this is feckless? I mean, promising checks. This seems like lib shit to me. Checks. No, he's saying that your tariff taxes wreaked havoc on farmers and enraged our allies and sent grocery prices through the roof. This morning, your handpicked Supreme Court justice notified you that they are also unconstitutional. On behalf of the people of Illinois, I demand a refund for $1,700 for every family in Illinois. The Supreme Court has ruled, bringing the total to $8,679,261,600. The Supreme Court has ruled that this is yet one of the more unconstitutional acts by you and your administration. This letter and the attached invoice stand as an official notice for compensation that is owed to the people of Illinois. Meanwhile, Trump is like, oh, yeah, I'm giving another $8 billion to the Board of Peace that'll go directly into my fucking pockets. He's wrong. The other countries paid the tariffs. Okay, dude, shut up. You're not being serious, I hope. Okay. I thought we got one. I thought we got a Trumpy. Okay. I thought there was a Trumpy in the building. I was excited. I was going to pet you. Pet the hog. So many people believe that. Yes. They also believe Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, is coming back on earth any day now. Okay. What do? 42% of Americans also believe in ghosts. Okay. It doesn't matter. You know, it is what it is. You just got to keep fucking telling them what the truth is. Ay, ay, ay.
That the Democrats who oppose this only because they want to go the opposite way. They'd like to pack the court. They want to put on 21 people. They want to pack the court, pack the Supreme Court. Maybe they should do it. Maybe they would be better off if they did it. They want to pack the court. They want to do anything to hurt our country. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of...
I do love when he's sad, though. He gets, like, weepy. And he's like, man, I guess they don't like me no more. They want to pack it. They want to pack the courts. Like, it's funny to see him behave like this. Like, he doesn't even have the righteous indignation here. He's just like more restrained by design. He's just like upset, you know?
Our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. I don't think the court meant that, but it's the way it is.
Look what you made me do. Look. Oh, did you want this to happen? Oh, you wanted only bad happen? I said nothing bad happen, only good happen. You want bad happen.
Standing law and hundreds of victories, and even, as I was pointed out before, even thousands of victories over the years. To the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. And essentially, it's used to get a fee. I can do anything I want with IEEPA, anything. I just can't charge anybody for it. I can license, I just can't charge.
Yeah, effectively rendering it useless. The fuck? Okay, so you can still say you're doing tariffs, but there's $0. You're accruing $0 in fees.
It's ridiculous, but it's okay because we have other ways, numerous other ways. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. So now there's no doubt, because, you know, there were a lot of questions about tariffs because no president was smart enough to use them to protect our country from those countries.
It's awesome. The Supreme Court has done a great disservice to me, the best president of all time, but they've also made me more powerful than before. They've taken out one of the tools that I can use at my disposal to do this like ridiculous tariffs agenda, but also they've given me even more power. They've also given me more power to utilize tariffs now. Ha ha. Okay, so why are you mad? Is there ever a moment where Donald Trump does something wrong? Is a good question to ask here. Has there ever been a moment where Donald Trump has been in the wrong? Whether it be tariffs, whether it be Epstein, whether it be, you know, starving Cuba, starving Iran. Nope. It's always right. I did everything right and they indicted me. That's always the case. And there's no punishments for it. So you might as well, if you can get away with just saying that you're, you know, heads you win or heads I win, tails you lose over and over again, you can just keep doing that. And that's what he's doing.
And businesses that were ripping us off. You took a look at the deficits that we had with some of these countries. It was disgraceful what they got away with for many, many decades. But now we know, because this decision affirms all those things that some people weren't sure about. In order to protect, and it says so, in order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past.
So the Ayatollah is not starving in Iran?
Under the various tariffs.
The Iranian population is starving in Iran.
Use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and are fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section...
Yeah, they said I was drunk driving and they took my license away, but they actually made it so I can drive more and drive drunker. No, they actually made me more powerful because now I'm taking the most powerful Uber rides. Okay? And technically, I can still drive drunk if I want to without a license, but this time I will just evade the law enforcement authorities even better. Like, it's like that, you know? Your Honor, you took away my my license because you found me guilty of drunk driving, but that's making me more powerful. It's a grave injustice that you have done to me. Much dishonor for taking away my license, but I will drive drunker than ever before, and this time engage in evasive maneuvers against law enforcement, and you will see me on the roads inside of Ubers. More powerful Ubers will be taken.
122, over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great. So I don't.
Yeah, America's so great, and it's getting even better. And it's bad, actually. But the only reason why it's bad is because Joe Biden made it bad. And I'm saving it. But also, the Supreme Court is now also Joe Biden.
Have to use that, but I don't think we'll ever give up on MAGA. MAGA is always going to be with us. If you have a few questions, you can let us know. But just to end, so we're going forward. We will be able to take in more money, and there'll no longer be doubt, because there was always doubt. I know the people that brought the lawsuit, and they're sleazebags, major sleazebags, but I know them.